Hello everyone, it's Moran aka Starseed Tarot. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a VR to Marlene Theresa. She did a VR called Tarot Extremes or Tarot to the Extremes, and I thought it was a very fun tag. A lot of people have done it since she's done it, so it's going to be a VR to her video, but obviously it's also a VR to everyone else that's done it. I will make sure to link her video in the description box below, so you can check this video, and you can also check the other ones, the other people that have done it. So it's called Tarot Extremes or Tarot of the Extremes. There are 7 prompts, so yeah, let's go ahead. So the first prompt is Minimalist deck versus Maximalist deck. So a Minimalist deck where there's not a lot going on versus one that there's a lot going on. So for my Minimalist deck, I've chosen the Prism Tarot. This is by Liz Landis. It was a Kickstarter campaign 1 or 2 years ago, and yeah, it's just a minimalist deck, so I'm gonna show you why. I could have chosen also the Mystic Monday Tarot because it's quite similar, but in terms of like the fact that it's minimalistic, so it's very minimalistic in terms of the colors being used. Is like the characters are pretty much always the same. It's like a crystal person, and there's like, yeah, it's quite, to me at least, is very minimalistic. And also the court cards are pretty similar, so you can see here. So that will be the Page of Swords, but then the Page of Pentacles will be something similar to that, if I can find. So that will be the Knight, for example. I'm not gonna find it now, but look, you can see here, for example, that will be the King, and that's the King of Pentacles, that's the King of Swords, so they are pretty similar. But yeah, that's the one I've chosen for simplicity, so like minimalistic deck. And the deck that I've chosen, I'm just gonna keep it there, so we have both side to side and we can see the difference. The one that I've chosen for Maximalist is the I was confused by this, the Prisma Visions Tarot. This one, there's a lot going on in this one. I don't know if there's a lot going on, or it's just me because of the art that it feels like it's very busy. So I'm not gonna do a flip through of this, but yeah, it just feels busy to me, and I think it's because of the art. So here you can see like the King of Chalices, there's this thing here, the Hierophant, you know. I mean, yeah, to me it seems very busy, but again, it's maybe because of the way the art is done. I like this deck. I'm not saying it's not a nice deck. I'm just saying like it looks busy because of the way the art feels and is. Look at this one, for example, the Queen of Wands. So you can see the shape of the human being there, but it's so busy with the colors everywhere that it's kind of hard to see, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's the one I've chosen for Maximalist. So if you look at both, you know, like a little bit side to side, you can understand why I've chosen these two to be opposites to each other, to extreme to each other's. So yeah, the Prisma Vision Tarot, this is by James E. Reed. There's a Kickstarter that just ran a couple of months ago where you also had the opportunity to get the smaller version of this, and then the Prisma Vision Tarot there. So that's the two first ones for the first prompt. The second prompt is daytime versus nighttime. So for my daytime, I've chosen the Spirit Song Tarot. It's just So this one is by Paulina Cassidy. She's done different decks such as the Joie de Vivre, for example. So she has a couple of decks out. I don't have any of her other decks, I just have this one. But yeah, it's so bright, it's so light, you know, even the darker type of animals or darker type of cards, they will still feel very bright and light and like daytime, you know, like you use this and you always feel like a bright spring day, you know. So look, for example, here the Magician with the crow, that should be like black and dark and stuff like this, but it's actually quite bright and like lively. So that's the one. Every time I use it, I feel like I'm during a night, like a beautiful day during spring. It's very springy vibe. So that's the one I've chosen for the daytime deck. And for the nighttime deck, I've chosen my Ashley Cook Tarot that I put in this little pouch there that I received with it. So the Ashley Cook Tarot, so obviously the background is darker, and also there's a lot of like things happening in space, like you can see here, the stars, and it's just in general like a little bit of a darker deck. So and to be honest, I've tended to use it when it was nighttime rather than daytime. I don't think I've used it at daytime actually. I've only used it like at night when it was after work and I just wanted to pull some cards. I would use this deck. So yeah, that's the Ashley Cook Tarot. I will put out all the decks that I'm showing now. I'll put a link in the description box below if in case you're interested. This one is an indie deck that you can purchase directly from her website, which is ashleycookprints.com. So you can't find it on Amazon. But the Prisma Vision Tarot that I've shown before, I'm not too sure. Again, it was an indie deck. I think there's a new version now that is black instead of being white. So you might find it, but yeah, I wouldn't want to tell you that you will be able to find it and you won't. And then the Prisma Vision Tarot is the same, it's an indie deck. The only one for so far that you can find on Amazon is the Spirit Song Tarot. But I'll put a link anyway in case you want to check them out. Then number 3, so the third prompt is best shuffle versus worst shuffle. So I only shuffle hand by hand, to be honest, but the one that I love is the Ocean Arcane or the Ocean Tarot. I think the cardstock is amazing, the way it's been done, and even though there is like gold gilding, the cardstock is so nice that it's so easy to shuffle. Like, I love everything about the way it shuffles, the way it sounds when it shuffles. It's just never sleeping, you know, it's just, I can do that and the cards will not fly everywhere. It's just so easy, and yeah, it's very good shuffle and very, very good quality. The cardstock is amazing. For those who haven't seen the deck, it looks like this. Again, it's an independent deck. I'm not sure this one is still available. It was a Kickstarter campaign, and it's by Taylor Breen, so you can find her on Instagram. She had another campaign not a long time ago for another deck, the Baroque deck I think it's called, in the same kind of like art style. So that's the one I would say is the best shuffler amongst the deck. And then the worst is a deck that I got from a girl in Ukraine that is selling this on her Etsy shop, and I don't know, like I think it was a Los Caraballo production at first, but now it's by a company called Ank, I think. Let me check. Yeah, so it's Ank, and it's like www.ank.com. But yeah, I bought it from her in Ukraine. She sold it for like around £28 to the UK. So it's like the UFO tarot. It's called the UFO tarot. So it's all good. I like it. The only thing is like the cardstock is ridiculous. It's like it feels like cheap paper, and so it's not that difficult to shuffle, to be honest. Like it's gonna be okay to shuffle, but it's just very bendy and very like you need to be a little bit careful, especially when you come to the last card where it starts to bend like this, you know. And yeah, and I love this deck, but I wish the cardstock would be different because it prevents me to use it a little bit because of the cardstock, and I'm always afraid I'm gonna damage it because of the quality of the cards. You know, it's bending very easily. So yeah, I would say that's the worst shuffler. I don't refold shuffle, so I can't compare any other decks with fold shuffle or whatever you call it, because I don't do it. So the next prompt is a confronting versus comforting, and for the confronting one I've chosen the 78 Ecological tarot that I keep in this big pouch because the deck is quite big. I think the guidebook is inside as well, yeah. So that's the one I've used as confronting. So it's a beautiful deck. I could say it's kind of the worst shuffle as well because I can't shuffle it like this. It's impossible. It's too big for my hand, so I have to shuffle it like this, which is not the best, but you know. But I chose it for confronting. So why did I choose it for confronting? So it's a collaborative deck, and there's a lot of images like this, you know, where it speaks about like ecology and our impact as human beings and as a civilization on nature and on the impact we have on Earth. So there's a lot of images like this where you can see like this bird being there, like surrounded by trash with someone trying to solve the issues, and it's a lot of images like this, and some of that are more like confronting, like 10 of air, which is like the 10 of swords, and you know, a lot of cards like this are confronting. So it's confronting me as like, what do I really do for like this 5 of air, for example, 5 of swords. It looks like a battle between all the animals to try to survive, kind of thing, you know. But yeah, as I said, it's like, and like here, look, you see the, you know, the smoke coming out of the factory, and it's like creating a cloud, you know. So it's just confronting in a sense, like what are you really doing to try to reduce your impact on Earth, and like maybe be more sustainable. Yeah, it's a lot of like cards like this that are confronting a little bit. So that's why I chose it as the confronting deck. Is confronting to me personally, like is making me question what am I actually doing to reduce the impact of my impact on Earth, you know, like. So yeah, that's the one that is confronting to me. And the comforting one is the Light Seers Tarot. It's just, this deck is just one of my favorites, and it's just like, I'm just like, I feel good when I use this deck. Like, it's just a hug, you know. It tells me what I need to hear, but at the same time it's not rough. It's quite light and bright and beautiful, and you know. So even if there are cards like this, you know, it's still like, I still feel like it's very comforting deck. Also because I know this deck so much. I've done a lot of readings with this deck for myself and for others. I know it upside down. I just love it. It brings me also a lot of good memories with other people. So yeah, I just love this deck. I think it's a very comforting deck to me. Even this card, like, there's the pillow, and you know, like, there's everything. It's not it's not like all fluffy, you know. This death card is probably one of my favorite cards. Favorite death card of all. But yeah, this is my confronting deck, comforting, sorry. And the confronting one is the 78 Tarot Ecological. That is there. So the next prompt is every day versus every so often. So every day, it was hard for me to kind of find this deck of every day because I tend to use kind of my decks kind of every day. Most of them kind of every day. So I will turn, you know. So one day I will use this one day I will use this one day I will use this one. Just so I make sure to use a little bit of all my deck. But the one I've been gravitating towards the most at the minute is a simple one, is the Tarot Vintage. So it's very classic, it's like just Rider-Waite-Smith, nothing surprising, but I like the way it's styled, you know, like the way it looks like old and like used for like decennies, and you know, it just looks so cool. And yeah, I've been also it's the perfect size, the perfect shuffle, you know, like it shuffles super well, it's the perfect size, it has a different smell as well. You won't smell it on the camera obviously, but it has this type of paper smell that I like, and like I don't know, and I've been gravitating towards this one more and more recently, so I use it pretty much every day now. When I want to ask something, I quickly grab this one, and that's the one I will use. So it's just for like a quick thing that I want to see, you know. It's not like, for example, the comforting deck, the Lightseers deck, that I will stop and I will like proper do a reading and, you know, look deep into it. With this one I will just pull a card and be like, okay, well, that's the answer to my question. And the one that I use every so often but I like is the Tarot, the Spirit Within Tarot by Stephen Bright. It's one of the decks, one of my first decks that I received. I started to edge the side. I do that a lot with decks. I start to edge the sides and then I leave it for a couple of weeks and then I start again. But anyways, I love this deck. Again, it could have been in the simplistic one because again, it's very simple. There's only so much of a color palette and there's only so much of scenery happening. But I love this deck. Every time I pull this deck, I remember how much I like this deck. It was one of my first deck that I bought outside a classic Rider-Waite-Smith. And yeah, I just love this deck, but I don't use it as often as I should, really, because I really like it. But for me also as well, it has a kind of particular energy that I don't feel drawn to use all the time, so that's why I don't use it all the time. So this is the daytime kind of thing, daytime tarot, the Tarot Vintage, that's being produced by Los Caraballo. Again, I will put a link in the description below. And the next one is the Spirit Within Tarot by Stephen Bright. You can also find it on Instagram. Yeah, you can find Stephen Bright on Instagram, and you can find the tarot on Amazon. The next prompt is overrated versus underrated. I know I'm gonna annoy a lot of people probably, but one that I think is overrated is not this one because I don't have the other one. I didn't connect with it, so I didn't use it. So I sold it, but this is the Wild Unknown Tarot, the big version. I don't know about the small version, but I bought this version to use as like a clarifier when I want to clarify cards, and it works well for me in this sense. I don't have to use it all the time, and for those who don't know the Wild Unknown Tarot, this is how it looks like. But like, is overrated in a sense. Like, I don't say like it's overrated because it's a bad deck, because it's an amazing deck. It's beautiful. It gives a lot of meanings. It's very different. It also kind of started a trend when Kim Crane started this deck. You know, she opened the door for decks to be different than just a copy of the Rider-Waite-Smith. So she interpreted the cards as she wanted to. Keep the meaning of the cards, obviously. Like here, for example, the Two of Cups is related to communion and love, connection, and all this kind of stuff. So you can see and you can feel this through the cards, but it's not the simple depiction of two person holding a cup, for example. You know, like not a complete Rider-Waite-Smith clone. You know, like the Emperor, for example, is just this big standing tree with a little bit of light there. It's not this person standing on a throne like a king. So she opened a lot of doors for the future of tarot and how people will approach tarot as creators. So in a sense, for that, I respect it a lot, and I think she did an amazing job. I just think it's overrated, especially when you first enter in the tarot community. You just hear about this deck all the time. It's like you ask people what deck should I buy, it will be either the Wild Unknown Tarot or classic Rider-Waite-Smith or the Fontaine Tarot, which could have also been in this category of overrated, even if I love this tarot. But yeah, it's just you hear about this all the time. It's everywhere. It's just like you type tarot in Amazon, that's probably one of the first ones that will come up, except the Rider-Waite-Smith. So I just think it's like a lot. You only hear about this one, and again, it's because of the amazing work that she's done, and it's a pretty deck. But nowadays there are so many beautiful decks that you could get, that this one is a little bit overrated in my opinion. And the underrated one is the Bright Future Tarot by Saskia. You can also find her at the Bright Future Tarot on Instagram, and I don't see this one a lot on Instagram. She has two versions of this deck. One version is with the keywords there at the bottom, and the other version is with no keywords. And again, it's a beautiful deck. Like the artwork is amazing, and yeah, I don't see this deck often, but again, it's an amazing deck. It's such a pretty deck, and again, with the artwork is helping like new beginners, for example, so it could be perfect for new beginners. I love this deck. It's just so pretty, so bright, so unique. There is diversity as well, you know. Theater of the Moon, you know, it's just so pretty, you know. It's just such a pretty deck. Here we have the Two of Swords, the Eight of Wands, you know, you have the movements there. And yeah, I just feel it's a beautiful deck. It's well produced, the quality is amazing, it's affordable. You can also buy a guidebook that is very detailed into like the art, what has been chosen and everything. But it's just a deck I don't see often like being used, being shown on Instagram or on flip-throughs on YouTube or anything. I don't see it a lot, and I think it's underrated because it's an amazing deck. So yeah, that's the one. So now we get to the last prompt, which is light work versus shadow work. So for this prompt, I'm not using tarot because I believe tarot can be used for light work or for shadow work, but oracle decks, so that's why I chose oracle decks. Some oracle decks are fluffier, let's say, than others, so you won't be able necessarily to do shadow work with a fluffy deck that is like, you know, very positive and very like uplifting, versus an oracle deck that kind of pushes you to ask yourself questions. So for my light work oracle deck, I chose the Angel Guides Oracle. by Kyle Gray, and the artwork is by Jennifer, I never know how to pronounce her name, Haukiard. The box is like damaged just like nothing, because I always use this deck. It's a deck that I always go to if I want to know things for my angels and guides. I will use this deck. I etched mine in orange like the back of the cards. But yeah, the artwork is amazing, and I just find this is very uplifting, you know. Here, manifestation, and then you have listen deeply, sacred plan, courage and bravery, raise your vibration, harmony and resolution, angelic protection, surrender, you know. And the artwork is amazing. This person looks so peaceful, you know. Forgiveness and understanding, blessings and abundance. No, even the card that says no is so peaceful, you know. Honesty and communication, divine timing, self-acceptance. So you see how, I mean, it's just like fluffy and uplifting, and this is perfect for light work. Like, this is perfect when you just want to have a good time and just be fluffy and, like, you know. Yeah, I just invented a verb. If you want fluffiness around you, it's just a beautiful deck that I use all the time when I want a bit of a quiet and fluffy time. And for the shadow work, it's not gonna be a surprise for anyone. I mention this all the time. This is the Purgatorium X Oracle, by Jens, that you can find on Instagram at Mr_Fribourg_Arcantum, and it's a deck that will ask you to push, like, that will push you first by the images that are a bit like confronting and different, and also the keywords. And, you know, like, for example, this one, survival, you have this kind of demonic figure that is putting someone's head under the water. You have the keyword survival, but then you also have here the star, like, don't lose hope, you can manage through it. But yeah, you have different, like, aspects of it with these weird figures. This, you know, here this person looks in the mirror and they don't see her reflection, or if she sees her reflection, it looks very distorted and very weird. Collaboration, but again, yeah, this is like this, she's holding like a baby kind of thing. This lady smoking a pipe, you know. It's very it's very shadowy work, I would say. And the guidebook is amazing as well. Like, I etched mine in black, this one. The guidebook is amazing. It's asking you also to well, look, survival. It's funny, it's the card I mentioned, and we just opened the guidebook and it's there. So you have high polarity, meaning sharpened sense, fighting to move forwards against the odds. Animal instincts are activated, focusing only on survival. Giving up is not an option. So even if it's high polarity, it's quite tense. And then low polarity, meaning having no resources to worry about anything other than the task at hand. An unsustainable situation, a fight too big to win, a project destined to fail, unable to think clearly, struggling to make a situation work. Then you always have like a little quote. So here, mental alertness is not awareness. Mental alertness only enhances your survival instinct. It does not take you towards liberation. So yeah, it's quite kind of dowy, shadowy, dark kind of deck. So that's why it's in the prompt, and it's in the shadow part of the prompt. So yeah, that's all my choices there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check Marlene Theresa video, and let me know if you're going to do the same video with the prompts, and I will check it out. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.